So the NFL banned the hip drop tackle, and it's kind of sent shockwaves throughout the NFL landscape. And it's kind of been surprising to me. Now, I understand that all NFL fans, players, both former and present, and even some coaches are kind of concerned with them banning the hip drop tackle. And you can feel perfectly fine with feeling that way, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Now, in this video, I'll be just showing off my side of the story while also not chastising those who might think that this is going to change the landscape of NFL football. And before you go into comments saying that I don't know what I'm talking about or like how could you think this way? That's fine if you eventually you do, but please just watch my video and then you can make your own opinion. I feel perfectly fine if you ask me a question in the comments. I'll respond. I like to hear other people's opinions, but I think that once you hear my side, hopefully you'll kind of show that I don't think it's going to be the end of football because we take out a particular tackle. Now, going off of the hip drop tackle, they've made it kind of clear of what exactly it's supposed to be. And they showed the clips, and I feel like even though some people are chastising, like, oh well, this doesn't look the same. It's pretty simple as far as like throwing your weight into the back of their knees, and basically they're trapping or coming down their legs. I feel like that's showing the visual that they shown. I feel like it's reasonable to kind of understand what the tackle is instead of being like, oh, that's just a tackle. So that's that side. But I also do want to ask because I, of course, am a younger person, so I was not watching football when the horse collar tackle was more prevalent. So I want to know for all those fans who maybe grew up watching the football from like beyond the '90s all up till about 2005 is when they banned the horse collar tackle. Is the sentiment kind of the same as far as like when they banned the horse collar tackle that oh no, the football changing forever as it is now? Because I don't know. To me, anytime there's a change in football, whether that most of the time when it's the people see it as being bad, they think that football is ruined forever. And yes, there are some cases of like where like they kind of overreach, like a lot of times with the roughing the passer kind of penalty. But I don't think it's going to be this, and mainly because it's not a normal function of tackling. You're not taught how to tackle like this. In fact, to me, it seems kind of like a lazy way of tackling, where basically you're just flinging your legs into their legs. That's not tackling to me. So that's also part of my opinion. But I think that there's also the fact, too, in the NFL, they came up and saying that only 230 actual hip drop tackles happen in the season. Now, that might sound like a lot, but I'm going to break it down for you and tell you why it's not really all that much. So, and how many games are in a season? There's about 557 games per season. That's 17 games scheduled for 32 teams, and then the 13 games that happen in the playoffs. So that's your 157. Each team usually hits about 62 tackles per game. I did my research and it was a range of like 66 all the way to like 59, but there's a lot more people who are closer to the 62 and above number, so I chose 62. So, in doing so, you get about 69,068 tackles in a season, and only 230 of those are hip drop tackles, which is about 3%. Going off of that, do you think that that's the only way that you can tackle from behind? No, because that wouldn't make any sense. That 90% or way over 90% of the tackles are from going head on. So there are other tackles that you can do besides the hip drop tackle from behind. It's not that's the only way. And there has been shown multiple ways you can tackle. If the person's way far out in front of you, you can go for the ankles. You can try to trip them. It's not a penalty tripping like what people have tried to have wrongly said. That's not a penalty. It's only a penalty if you stick your leg out. That's not a tripping if you try to go for the if you're like trying to literally trip them with your hand. You can also do the try and true Seattle tackle method. I implore you to look at the Seattle tackle method. It's worked wonders for the Legion of Boom during their heyday, and it's done really well for Pete Carroll going from USC all the way to Seattle. And that is making sure to go for the lower legs, but to wrap up. And they do a really good job of showing it as well. There's videos on YouTube showing that too. There's also videos of showing rugby tackling, which, in all honesty, a lot of them show not the hip drop tackle, but pulling their. If you want to pull your legs, they're through. You can pull your legs off to the side, and you're not coming down on someone else's legs. And I think that's the main problem that the NFL is trying to cut out. So if you still want to have, come from behind, grab them, as long as you are not coming down on their legs, then you will be fine. That's not going to be penalized because it has to be those two things, and that's what they're pushing at. But my main thing that I get a little bit upset about is that it's always constant that this is a bad idea, and I really don't think it is. I can see the problems. I can see how there's possibility that the refs might look bad to the refs, you know, at a certain angle, so people might get penalized for things that they probably shouldn't have. They'll get flagged for stuff they shouldn't have, and it might change the landscape of a game. I get that. I get why that can be a problem. My stipulation for the NFL to make sure that it's not a problem is if they make sure that you can review those penalties. If that, in fact, was not a hip drop tackle, then it shouldn't be penalized and it should basically go to where it was before. Kind of the same thing when they review to see if it was actually a horse collar tackle. If that's the way that they play it, then I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem as people say it is. But I think everyone looks to the worst of how this is going to be sarcastaball. I remember South Park, and or this is going to be flag football, and I don't think it is. I just feel like people are always going to the negative, and maybe it's just the optimist in me, and where I've seen a lot of changes in football, but has it stopped my enjoyment of the game? No. I might be upset about the way they throw the flag for some rough in the passer penalties. That shouldn't be called. But do I agree that the hip drop tackle is kind of a dangerous way to tackle somebody? Yes. Is it a lazy way of tackling somebody? Yes. There are a lot of different ways you can either tackle from behind, tackle from the side. They teach you how to tackle like that, but a lot of times it's just either the spur of the moment, and it sucks. It sucks for the NFL, for the defenders, that it makes your job a little bit harder because, like I said, it's kind of easier just to throw your legs underneath them. But in order for the game to be safe, in order for people to not be hurt like Mark Andrews was, like Tony Pollard was, where this can be prevented, then yes, injuries are going to happen. Like like spur of the moment kind of plays are going to happen. So I would caution the NFL to kind of trek, reasonably. Don't try not to do the fines. I beg you, please don't do the fines. But this is not going to change football forever. This is not going to change it to just be flag football. So when you're hearing people keep on pushing this narrative, step back, relax, and then see all the other changes that's been made in football. Has it changed it for the detriment? Has it been this massive thing that now you can't enjoy watching football? Or is there the side of you that only wants to gripe about it? I feel like there's a lot of people on the internet who are only doing that, or only griping about something negative in this dead period before the draft. So that's my stance on it. Obviously, if you don't agree, I'm perfectly okay with that. However you feel about it, I'm not going to try to change your opinion. I just wanted to show you mine and show you that there's another side to this. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not all this is the end. So, if you have any questions, please comment. If you want to tell me that I'm wrong, go ahead. I'll be like, yeah, that's your opinion. But thank you so much. Of course, coming out with another video on Sunday as usual. But I felt seeing this whole entire fiasco go down today, I figured I needed to make a video about it. So thank you so much. See you Sunday.